I'd like to call to order the organizational meeting for January 8, 2013 of the Madison Local Board of Education. At this time, would everyone stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Becquerel, roll call, please.
Jacqueline Asbill. Jay Fabian.
Here.
Michelle Hayes.
Here.
Rex Ryder.
Here.
Teresa Ward.
Here.
And we have approval of the agenda.
So moved. A second.
Mr. Becquerel?
Jacqueline Asbill.
Yes.
Jay Fabian.
Yes.
Michelle Hayes.
Yes.
Rex Ryder.
Yes.
Teresa Ward.
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.
And if everyone would kindly pay attention to their cell phones at this time and take care of their ringers or whatever sound system they have. See, we have a student here, right? Is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
A couple of students from government. Make sure you get your agenda signed by anyone at this table after the meeting. Copies are over there. Okay, at this time we have election of president. As President Pro Tem, I ask for nominations for the President of the Board and Board Policy BCA. Nominations need not be seconded. After repeating the names of the nominees, the President Pro Tem asks for further nominations. There is no response. The President Pro Tem asks a second time and then declares the nominations are closed.
I nominate Rex Ryder.
Do we have any other nominations? And nominations are closed.
Congratulations.
We need a roll call at that time, or
We need to call the names.
Mr. Treasurer?
Jacqueline Asbill.
Rex Ryder.
Jay Fabian.
Rex Ryder.
Michelle Hayes.
Rex Ryder.
Rex Ryder.
Rex Ryder.
Michelle Ward.
Rex Ryder.
Michelle Ward?
Teresa Ward.
Is that a hybrid of?
I just thought I'd answer. I wasn't.
That man needs sleep.
Teresa Ward.
I knew.
Thank you, everyone.
No, congratulations.
And moving on to item 6, election of the Vice President. The President Pro Tem asks for nominations for Vice President of the Board. As in Board Policy BCA, nominations need not be seconded. After repeating the names, the President Pro Tem asks for further nominations. There's no response. The President Pro Tem asks a second time and then declares the nominations are closed.
I nominate Jacqueline Asbill.
Are there any other nominations?
I nominate myself, Michelle Hayes.
And are there any other nominations? If there's more than one nominee, we must have a motion, which I will make, and a second to close nominations for Vice President of the Board.
Second.
Mr. Becquerel,
And this is to proceed with the vote.
this is to close nominations.
Okay. Jay Fabian.
Yes.
Michelle Hayes.
Yes.
Rex Ryder.
Yes,
Teresa Ward.
Yes.
Jacqueline Asbill.
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.
and this time, Treasurer, if we'll have a roll call for the nominee for Vice President of the Board of Education.
Jacqueline Asbill.
Jacqueline Asbill.
Jay Fabian.
Jacqueline Asbill.
Michelle Hayes.
Michelle Hayes.
Rex Ryder.
Jacqueline Asbill.
Teresa Ward.
Michelle Hayes.
And I declare Jacqueline Asbill as receiving the majority vote, and will be our Vice President for upcoming year. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Moving on to item 7, time, date, and location of regular meetings. We have moved our meetings to the regular meetings, to the regular meeting being the third Tuesday of every month, and these special meetings, or AKA work sessions, the first Tuesday, both at 6 p.m. The special sessions are at the board office, and the regular meetings are at the chorus room. First Tuesday and third Tuesday. And as we go through the year, board, we can make adjustments as upcoming events.
So moved.
We have a motion, thank you. Second,
Second.
any comments on regular meetings? I will say that maybe we might change the locations after our new buildings are built and maybe move them release a regular meeting, maybe to not only our new buildings, but to our new elementary school in the north. It might be a little change of pace. To move them. So people can, as long as we announce it, so we have 4 locations, maybe we can, once the buildings are built, we can go that way. Mr. Vaccarello?
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Rex Reiger,
Yes?
Teresa Ward,
Yes.
Jacqueline Asbill,
Yes.
Jay Fabian,
Yes.
vote is 5-0.
Tax Incentive Review Council. The board must appoint a representative to the Tax Incentive Review Council for the 2013 calendar year as opposed to Ohio Revised Code 5709.63 and Board Policy DED.
So moved. Second.
You moved what?
Yeah,
We need to appoint somebody.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Move to
I nominate Jay Fabian for that.
Jay Fabian. I'll second that. Anyone else want to be on the Tax Incentive Review Council?
It's an exciting one.
Any other? Mr. Vaccarello?
Rex Reiger,
Jay Fabian? Oh, yes.
Teresa Ward,
Yes.
Jacqueline Asbill,
Yes.
Jay Fabian,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
vote is 5-0.
Yay.
That motion.
Wow. I'm kidding. I'm excited, thank you.
OSBA Legislative Liaison.
Responsibility. Very high.
I've been on this for the last few years. I wouldn't mind doing it one more time. It's a mixed blessing being that liaison right now, as I reported to the board a few weeks ago, especially in lieu of charter schools and funding. It's not the most pleasant position to be on. Although we have a great platform, it just never seems to get to the other side of Columbus to be enforced or enacted.
Nominate Rex Reiger.
Second.
Anyone else? Mr. Vaccarello?
Teresa Ward,
Yes.
Jacqueline Asbill,
Yes.
Jay Fabian,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Rex Reiger,
Yes.
vote is 5-0.
And the OSBA Student Achievement Liaison, as the Board Student Achievement Liaison as for the 2013 calendar year as an Ohio Revised Code 331387.
Something you're back, you're interested in again?
I'd be happy to do it unless, Teresa, if you're planning on attending the conference this year, or if Michelle wanted to try to do it, that would be fine. If not, I'm happy to do it again.
All right, Jacqueline Asbill. I'll nominate.
Okay. I'll second.
And Mr. Vaccarello.
Jacqueline Asbill,
Yes.
Jay Fabian,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Rex Reiger,
Yes.
Teresa Ward,
Yes.
vote is 5-0.
And board the consent calendar, including A, Robert Rules of Order, B, reaffirm policy, C, tax advance, B, permit payment of purchases, E, permit necessary borrowing, F, investment of funds, G, substitute securities, H, advisory committees, I, legal counsel, J, board member compensation, K, OSBA membership, L, dispense with reading board minutes, M, authority to file applications for projects, N, hiring, and O, resignation acceptance authority, P, professional meetings, Q, records officers. These are basically the items, without going into detail, that we include in our basic meetings.
So moved.
Second. Question, Dr. Gadia.
Yes.
The legal counsel, the people that we were talking about with, I believe,
Yes.
the bond issue
Yes,
that
yes.
has been included this time
Yes,
around?
yeah, yep, they're all included,
Okay,
yep.
right.
And then again, obviously, they have to do the budget for, which is part of the budget approval. But, this authorizes us to use those various legal counsel. Yep, thank you for the question.
Yeah, but we
Yes.
had talked about, we thought that one before wasn't on there, but.
Yep, yes, it is definitely on
That's what I thought.
Anyone else? Mr. Vaccarello?
Jay Fabian,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Rex Reiger,
Yes?
Teresa Ward,
Yes.
Jacqueline Asbill,
Yes.
vote is 5-0.
Moving on to item 12, committees. These are ad hoc committees, temporary committees such as Facilities Committee, which I have been in charge of since 2006. And also we're asking for another ad hoc committee, I think Teresa Ward, on the bowling. Does anyone want else have a committee or something you want to be in charge of? So we need again, 2 committees, the Facilities Committee, which I'd like to finish up. Hopefully this is the last year.
Yeah.
It is the last year. I was being facetious. And the bowling committee, do you want to go into that a little bit right now, or?
I was just concerned, I know a lot of students are having trouble being with the bullying in school, and I just wanted to maybe do some research on it, have some talkers come in and speak to the students about their experiences, maybe that'll help. I'm still looking, I mean, I'm having it.
That's great.
We need to talk to our football team, make sure they win every game. There's bullies out there.
Never mind, I'm sorry.
On a
So
serious-
moved.
Okay.
Do you need to add something on here about the building committee that she wants? Because I don't know if it's on your all's copy, but it's not on mine.
Right, we have to add that onto your,
Oh,
ad hoc.
it'll be in the minutes, so
Yeah,
as long as it's in the minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
We need a second.
1 second.
And, on a serious nature, anything we can do to prevent bullying at any age level, in any situation, whether it be cyber, physically, verbally, the board endorses 100%.
If you have a schedule of meetings, when you put your committee together, I'd love a schedule, so I can attend.
I think that, all right, anyone else? Mr. Vaccarella?
Michelle Hayes,
Yes?
Rex Ryder,
Yes?
Teresa Ward,
Yes.
Jacqueline Asbill,
Yes.
Jay Fabian.
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.
And the tax budget adoption?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Rex, our treasurer, deliver a copy of the approved 13-14 tax budget to Lake County Budget Commission and to sign any and all documents necessary to execute the provisions of this motion. Any comments on that? Mr. Vaccarella?
Rex Ryder,
Yes?
Teresa Ward,
Yes.
Jacqueline Asbill,
Yes?
Jay Fabian,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes.
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.
Okay, before we move on to the recommendation of the superintendent board, one thing that's kind of been, I would like to throw out in front of you before we move on is, when we do have students here, as the last meeting, if you remember the last meeting, the young man had a lot of questions. And I don't think he understood entirely how a board operates. So I'm asking your permission maybe to contact Dr. Gowdy and Mrs. Smith, to contact Mr. Fisher, to the teacher that's sending students here, that maybe they should have some type of understanding the purpose of a board as opposed to a town council or city council or town council meeting or trustee meeting. What's Robert Rules of Order? What's the public participation? How we operate? You know, how do we come to the agenda? So when they come here, they just don't pick up an agenda and get it signed and sit through it. I think there should be a little, maybe a half 15-minute blip of what a board is or one day in class. If you're gonna come to the meeting, I think you should have some substance of what you know, what's going on. That's my
We
opinion.
can make that happen. We can take care of that.
Okay.
Okay.
Does anyone else have any comments on that? Just a little bit more. I think the young man last time, remember, he didn't know why he had to wait to speak, and just, he knew ahead of time that would answer his questions.
Oh, but it was a learning experience.
Right.
for him.
But he had no background of
Sure.
reference. He probably thought any government meeting is exactly the same, where our meetings are kind of a meeting with public observation, which is different than a town hall meeting. I'm finished. Now we're moving on to recommendations of the superintendent, Dr.
Well,
Gowdy.
very limited tonight because it's your organizational meeting, and before I forget, one of the things, because we want to do a presentation and then have a follow-up meeting to that, one of the things I was going to ask the board, I know we approve first and third Tuesdays as meetings, but I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe our architect or technology guy and the architect are going to be ready for the 15th to do a presentation to the board, if the board members are willing to have a meeting on the 15th.
What day of the week is that?
It's a week from today, I believe. Your schedule. It's not a first or a third.
That's the third.
So the third one's,
Yeah.
Yep.
I stand corrected, I'll keep my mouth shut. Okay,
The first would have been,
So you're.
the first Tuesday would have been January
Thank
first.
you, thank you.
We moved this one because.
Thank you.
Because.
All right, thank you
it's
for
on
that
holiday.
correction. All right, so we'll have it on your regularly scheduled third, but we're gonna have them here to give you the detail of the furniture package. If they wanna go out to bid, and this will be your first time seeing it, because I know we're trying to follow the same process we did for the whole building project. Do the presentation and then come back and have the approval. So that'll be on the 15th for the technology package and the furnishings package, which are the final two packages. Okay, so now I'll get into my recommendations. These are all personnel items. The board is recalling the following contract. Greg Haycox, effective January 2nd as maintenance staff. The board, I'd like to ask the board to approve the following transfers of Cheryl Rydell, food service manager helper, and ask the board to employ the following substitute, Brian Bukius, to a casual day-to-day sub.
Luckiest.
Bukius.
So moved.
Mr. Vecchiarella?
Teresa Ward,
Yes.
Jacqueline Asbill,
Yes.
Jay Fabian,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Rex Reiger.
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.
All right, the next item is a board policy update, believe it or not. This is all the board policy that you worked on for a year and a half on here. It'd be a book this thick, which you've got in pieces as you reviewed it, updated it, did it all. But we have it all in one little thing here. What we'd like to do is, and this will be the first reading, second reading will be the 15th, where you'll actually go for approval. But one policy, and they would, then they would go live, the new Neola policies that you've worked on for a year and a half would all go live the following Tuesday. And we hope to get them up on the website, and so people have access to them, which is the whole intent of changing over to Neola. One policy comes into question, and I sent a note on the notes to you regarding that one, and it was the smoking policy. And I'm gonna pass these around, and we have Mr. Fisher here tonight, and it's the smoking policy as it relates to bingo. Bingo has, what they've been doing, they've been smoking in the courtyard. Now, I won't try to represent what Mr. Fisher's points are here, but what I'm told is that the people that run the bingo are saying that if they don't have any smoking at all, then that they feel like the bingo's gonna go under. And it's a source of funding for a lot of our academic awards.
Yeah,
And
you want me to-
I'll let Mr. Fisher he'll represent it far better than I.
Dr. Gowdy asked me to, and Mr. Reiger, I had talked informally, asked me to put together how I feel bingo has impacted. I do know from talking with them, given the times and the challenges that they're facing, it would cause a lot of hardship. We would lose quite a few people that play it. So the impact, how it would fall back on the school system, given the economic times, I think is pretty significant. So what I'm asking for is just this exception for this one event would be the only one permissible, allowed to smoke. And again, they do it in the courtyard, which is out of sight on the interior part of the school. I tried to put together some, just again, some of it's exact, some of it's guesstimate, but the dollar amount, the academic awards and aid there is $6,000 that they support the high school. I'm not 100% sure on the awards breakfast, but I think it's either $3,500 or $4,000 that they give to Mr. Brady. Probably the newest part has been the athletic participation fee, and we've reorganized that, so really beginning this fall we've had high participation, but I get payment, a donation every 4 months, and that's roughly about 10 to 15,000. It's generally around 4,000 a pay period of workers that goes to the parents can work off
To
the
clarify
fees.
what that is some of the kids, because we are paid to participate now, some of the kids that can't afford to do the pay to participate for the sports programs, can work it off by working the bingos. And so the bingos pay their participation
Yeah,
fee.
and if I can,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
qualify that, they cannot pay directly, they make a donation to the principal's account, and then I credit the student's account, parents that have worked it, so it takes 2 times to work it to make the 125 payment. Last year, we reorganized, I have a group of parents that actually go to the seasonal meetings, the OHA meeting, every parent has the opportunity to sign up and request to have the opportunity, and we've had very high participation. So that concerns me, just because I think we do have a lot of parents that are gonna need that, and that would create a void. They generally at the senior banquet, as many as you know, they award the senior book scholarships, which usually range in the, from 1,000 to 1,500, depend. They've never turned away, so any senior that applies for it usually gets some kind of financial amount. And then I didn't get a chance to talk to Miss May, I apologize, but it is a big fundraiser, not only that they run the food concessions, and they also, every 4th session, are the workers are from the band patrons, not the sports parents. So for every 4th one, they supply. So I'm gonna guesstimate easily between 10 and 15,000. That's gonna put a void for them. So I guess with that said, that's my concern. You know, I've worked at probably, I don't know, close to 15 years now. I probably work 40 to 45 Mondays a year. On a personal note, to give that up, it wouldn't pay me a whole lot, but, you know, I don't mind working it, I don't mind supporting it. I just am concerned on where we would start the money. The second point would be, if I thought that, you know, on Monday night we don't have events at the high school, so it's not a visible thing that kids are witnessing, you know, in terms of the modeling, in terms of, they probably are more influenced by parents or family that smoke at home, or people that are around, than they would be by anything in terms of the bingo, because students aren't permitted to be in the building or around at that time. To be honest, we have more of an issue with people smoking during football games outside the stadium. It's an issue we can't control. I think that's more visible and a negative thing on, if you're worried about the impact on students or how that affects it, then I see the bingo. So I guess that's my plea on their account, but.
Just a couple of comments. And again, the board, it's your pleasure what you want to do. It's your policy. You could make it for Mondays only, in that limited area only. You can do whatever you want with the policy. Currently, as the policy is stated, it's not permissible starting on the 16th when we activate the policies. So it will be done. No more smoking. Now,
Did we get a formal letter from the bingo people that they're gonna close down?
No, I can just tell you from when it came up in the fall, meeting with them at their meetings. And you're talking about, on their behalf, as you know, Jay, you're talking about, it's probably been in the operation 30 years, and there's a couple people who've been there the entire 30 years. The president, the other officers, none of them have kids in the school anymore. It's more a civic duty, and just in terms of the change in the last 5 years of reorganizing, of fighting, and they've got it back to we're drawing well. A number of area places have closed, but I can sense the frustration that if they have to fight this issue and lose a core of their longtime people because they can't smoke there and that, you know, the sense I got of what they have said behind doors is they're about ready to give up on it.
What are we gonna do with the state constitution?
What's the state constitution?
state constitution allows it if you.
No, it doesn't.
Sure does. What's the board policy? That's why you have a board policy.
Well, it's supposed to be 30 yards from the entrance, and I can tell you, or 30 feet, or 30 feet from the entrance. I can tell you they're not 30 feet from the entrance. Every time they open the door, all the smoke comes in. I've worked bingo too, and all the smoke comes in.
Right.
I understand what they're saying, and I do, you know, I hear everything they're saying, and I think that they're valid concerns.
Right.
I remember when we were telling them they couldn't smoke inside the building anymore, and they were saying, we're gonna shut down, and they survived. Just like bars say, if you can't, if people can't, if you can't smoke here, the bars are all gonna go under, and they didn't. You know, and, you know, I think it's going to be, we're going to have a challenge to have our community take this policy seriously and to fully enforce it to begin with. I think that if we allow special circumstances, well, we don't agree with smoking, we think it's bad and we don't want it on our property, except for when someone's giving us money and then they can, personally, I have a problem with. And it's just my own personal moral, I think it's being hypocritical. I can't support it, but I do understand, you know, I don't think that the points you're making are invalid, and I think that Bingo does a lot of great things for a lot of different programs, and, you know, I think, you know, I'm happy to do anything I can to support them other than be hypocritical with a policy because someone's giving us money, you know. What do we do when, let's say, for example, you know, someone else is using our space and, you know, and they wanna say, well, you let Bingo do it, why can't we do it? We donate money to, you know, let's say, for example, youth wrestling that has that place on Sundays. What if they say, we wanna be able to have, you know, smoking, we're not gonna be able to hold our big, huge tournaments here on Sundays if we don't, and we pretty much fund all of the takedown clubs, so you're gonna lose thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. Are we gonna say that's okay too? Or is it just okay for Bingo? And then why is it just okay for Bingo, but it's not, I just think it leads us down a road that's gonna put us in some tough situations. It's just my personal opinion.
Well, then we should bring the, and I hear that, we should bring the whole policy that we're talking about, that it shouldn't be on school property, under question, and maybe we should just go back to, it shouldn't be within the buildings. And bring it back to that instead of all school property. Well, I mean,
Again, it's your pleasure, and
I know that, that's the reason I'm opening back up again, you know, that.
I agree with Jacqueline in that we can't make an exception for one organization and not for another. If we are gonna make the exception, then it needs to be for anyone who rents or leases our buildings has that same option.
Okay.
And I'm not completely comfortable with making that exception, but if we do choose to make an exception, it needs to be for anyone who rents our buildings, not simply for Bingo.
And then if we're going to do that, then what's the point in having the policy to begin with? Because the whole point is, we are an educational institution that's teaching and mentoring and helping our youth to grow and learn and benefit from, you know, academics and healthy lifestyles and those sorts of things. At least that's what we should be doing, in my opinion. And then to allow there to be smoking when we know how bad of a habit that is, I think it detracts from our responsibility of what we're supposed to be doing.
It's a legal product on top of it, though.
Then go smoke it, Jay, but I'm just
Oh,
saying.
I've never had a cigarette in my life, so I'm not
I
arguing for smoking, I'm just arguing against
I
regulations.
do not feel good about being part of a leadership team that allows smoking on property in a school system in this day and age.
And so,
Every other school around us has already done this, we're well behind the curve, everyone else has figured all these issues out already. I don't know why we're sticking our feet in the mud and refusing to, like, you know, get with the day and age. That's just my personal opinion.
well, and so that you know, I'm a non-smoker, and so this doesn't affect me one iota, but I just wanted to make sure you were aware of potential implications. And I wouldn't want this to come and say, well, what do you think? There's no way we're gonna be able to fund any of these things he talked about out of our, because we don't have the money.
Absolutely.
So I just want, and I would be remiss if I didn't let you know that there are gonna be some implications, or potentially could be some implications. I'm not saying they will.
No, and I appreciate that.
Okay, okay.
I think
So-
we're going backwards.
And again, like I said from the very beginning, this is the board's pleasure. This is your policy, and if you wanna amend it, fine. If you wanna leave it alone, it's fine. But knowing that the day after our next meeting, which is a week from today, the door shuts on all these, and you could always go back and amend it. I mean, you could always change your own policy, but that next day, the policy's effective, it's our obligation to start enforcing it. Okay?
Aren't there
Unless it's
bingos,
supporters.
Huh?
Never mind.
aren't there bingos that have survived without smoking in Northern Ohio? I mean, isn't there bingo someplace else besides Madison that still functioning?
Well, and let's be honest, the diehard smokers, I mean, it's not like I'm not suggesting anybody run out in the middle of the road and smoke a cigarette, but the diehard smokers are gonna do that. I mean, it's, you know, And truthfully, I don't believe that they should be smoking in the courtyard. I think the courtyard should be an area for the children, and I don't think there should be smokers in the courtyard.
Mr. Fisher?
I mean, I agree with Dr. Gowdy, it's your pleasure, I just wanted to make sure that, you know, and again, Deb says this is a nonprofit organization that's only organized for the purpose of supporting your schools. You know, so they're not out there raising money, donating to different organizations, it's solely to help Madison schools. And it's a good example in what Michelle said, but like the youth wrestling tournament, I don't think you can have smoking at something that has kids in attendance. This does not involve youth at all, this involves only adults. So if you open it to all groups, I think it should be with the stipulation that it's only an adult event. You know, because smoking is not legal for kids. So I think that's why, like at a youth wrestling tournament, you wouldn't allow smoking. Yeah, just in terms of that sort of like apples and oranges to me, the different types of events.
I have two problems, and one is bingo saying that if we don't have smoking, we can't exist. It seems like after 30 years, maybe they don't want to exist, but my real problem is that we're a public school system. We're an educational system, and what kind of example do we set if we make that exception? To me, that is the hardest thing. Okay, I mean, the kids they're intuitive. They know what's going on. Oh, you let them smoke and have all those bad health habits if you're getting money. But otherwise, it's okay. And to me, I have a problem with that.
So,
You know,
let me clarify, so state law says they have to be 30 feet away from the door, which would put them where?
Well, if they were in the courtyard, it'd be probably the middle of the courtyard, because it depends what door you used. If they were in the front of the building, it'd be out toward the end of the sidewalk.
Well, I would imagine it would be, 30 feet from any of our doors, I would imagine, would it not be?
Correct.
30 feet from the building,
Okay.
so, which means it's illegal for them to smoke in the courtyard. And then,
Okay.
so,
Not from the door.
and so 30 feet from our door would put them into the middle of the parking lot anyways, right?
but our school policy oversees that to not on school grounds at all.
Yeah, ours.
Right, so I mean, they already can't smoke, I mean, legally, they can already not smoke in the courtyard. So really, it's a question of whether or not we're gonna let them smoke in the parking lot, or if they're gonna go an extra
He's correct.
15 feet out into the road.
You could probably measure 15 feet or 30 feet in the courtyard and be at the far corner and be able to smoke there.
I know, they're all holding on one spot though.
Yeah.
But I'm being legalistic.
Sure.
Measuring out 30 feet, you could probably, at the far end of the courtyard, smoke.
Well, in the reality.
But not right inside the door. And I don't disagree. I mean, I'm just, the law's the law is the law is the rules.
I don't hear a lot of support here, so I don't know if we need to debate it anymore, because I think everybody's debating the same side. I'm certainly not here as an advocate, but it's felt that you needed to know informationally that these,
Well, it's something we can revisit if something was to happen.
you can always revisit board policy.
And the only thing I'd like to say on top of that, and that's just the tip of the iceberg of what's happening in public education, about funding and what we can afford or not afford, in terms of pay for play and that, we're saying we can't, people can't afford it, but, this comes a bigger picture of what's happening on the state level and our level, and what funds schools, and so it's not just bingo today, so I'm afraid that the board, I think, as Ms. Ward, I didn't.
I just think we already visited the smoking policy, and that's something we talked about when we talked about the smoking policy.
I do appreciate you bringing it though,
Right,
because it is important that we go into it with our eyes wide open, and if, if we can't have, we have to find a different way, or, ask for donations for an honors breakfast because bingo can't support that, then we know why, and we can't, we can't blame them for it, so I
Now,
think.
when one of these people will stop you on the street and you say, I didn't realize that we
Right.
were getting.
No, I appreciate
We laid out
this
the
To,
things that-
to that point, people can get a hold of us, the board members, and voice their opinion,
Sure they can.
okay, as far as if we need to change the policy to, or if people wanna step up and make up the difference from their own pockets for the donations, that's great. Greatly appreciated as well, because we know that there's gonna be a gap.
Yes,
So,
yes.
so they have our phone numbers and that,
Could they
and
not
we
move
can
that
revisit
over to,
this policy if need be.
Can they not move bingo over to the library? Or the library on school
I
property?
don't know if this library's gonna want some.
The library's on school property, because it's a school library. It's a school
I didn't know
library.
if it was on a.
It's a school library.
Yeah, I don't think, I can look into it, but I don't think we'll be able to.
Or
they will
one of
do
the
that.
churches, where you donate
Sure, churches now, well, that, and again, that's a whole different story. Church can do what they wanna do.
Yeah.
That's totally up to the church.
No, I mean, they could look for other places. that
Sure,
they
sure they could. Sure they could.
Anyone else?
Okay. That concludes my recommendations, Mr. President.
Before we move to public participation, board, I'd be remiss not to mention that we are on the website with a biography of, that probably hasn't been updated for probably 2 years, so you may wanna take a look at it, and if you wanna update it, we would send it to,
Susan. She can update.
to who?
Susan Quayle.
Susan Quaylen, so you might wanna look at that. At this time, we'll have public participation. Make sure you stand, please, state your name and address. You'll have 5 minutes to address the board. Anyone? I see no one. Do we have a need for executive session?
Nope.
And if we could have a motion for adjournment. Mr. Vaccarello?
Jacqueline Asbill,
Yes.
Jay Fabian,
Yes?
Michelle Hayes, Rex Ryder,
Yes.
Teresa Ward, vote is 5-0.
The board of next meeting is January 15th at the Forest Room. Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.